right, everybody. Welcome back here. We are live at Los Compadres. My name is Sam Torres, and this is YSN, the Lake Show, baby. I'm here with head coach Terry Henton, where we are going to discuss all things Lakeside football. It's going to be a great show tonight. We are going to welcome our Dragon Player of the Week. This one probably the least surprising all year, as Devin Miller is going to be our guy. He had a second half that most people dream of, and a lot of people in 4 years won't get. It was a big game against Hawken for him, and our scout team player of the week, which is going to be J.J. Murphy, a freshman coming out there and making his mark on that scout team this week. This is an award that is decided between the coaches and the team. Right. The team decides who on the scout team was giving them the most problems, and this freshman was given all kinds of problems this week. Talk a little bit about JJ.
JJ is an awesome kid. He's one of the people who, wherever we want him to go, he is going to go, offensively and defensively. When he first came, he was a center, and which he's good at. We're not saying that. Then he moved to a guard. Then he moved to a tackle. Then on defense, he was a defensive tackle. Now he stands up as a linebacker. If we need him at receiver, he'll stand at receiver. If we need him at safety, he'll go to safety.
Listen, I was going to say he's a freshman. He might be in the defensive backfield by the time this is all said and done.
And he has the Jehola blood in him. Every day we keep saying, I hope one day that Jehola is going to show up in you, and you're going to turn out to be 6'5". Don't know when, though. We're waiting on him, but he has a 6'5" heart. So.
Yeah, that's right. I'll tell you what, it's great to see, especially, Lakeside, a program that's building. You know what I mean? This year, three seniors.
In the starting lineup?
Yeah.
4 seniors. Totally.
4 seniors in the starting lineup, a heavy dose of juniors. But the underclassmen are really coming in, trying to make their mark in this. It's a program that's building. You guys have gotten better every single week. The record, not exactly what you want it to be. But if it's what you want it to be 5-0, and you guys wouldn't have given up a touchdown yet. Yeah. Anybody who knows Terry knows that's the deal. But I think what the story so far, halfway through, it's hard to believe that, right? Halfway through the regular season already.
Right.
Like
fast. Getting
ready to start this CVC Lake division play. Which this CVC Lake division is stacked. It is an even conference. I think any given week, any given Friday, you can see any team beat any team. But, talk about the growth of the team so far, because I know what I've seen as a broadcaster, but, you're the one who gets to make the call.
First off, thank you for noticing that they're growing. But I think we're all growing, not just them. I think we're all starting to understand each other. Like the kids say, we're starting to understand the assignment. We're seeing things that we didn't see before. The kids are actually, we just had a conversation in a coach's room today. We're talking about being able to grow. And the one thing that I was saying is, this isn't my offense. This isn't what I wanted to bring in. This is Omar's offense. This is whatever Omar can do out of this big, huge book of plays that I have in my head and on my computer and all these things. It's simply what the quarterback can do. I think I have 3 great running backs, so it's not like
the Hydra.
Yeah, I don't have to. like think of plays for them. They're gonna make things happen. In the major key, the growth is coming from. We've been having this conversation about. Okay, like we have the play, but now we need the player. Like, okay, every coach draws a play, and it goes so far down the field, whatever that may be. But the player has to continue that play. Okay, we have the blocking scheme. We have the 3 yards of the crowd and the dust and all these types of things. But after that, you have to be the player, and that's what we've been focusing on like the last 2 weeks, and it's starting to show. The player is starting to be the player. They're starting to remember what they saw so many times. I guess we had to see. We don't have a lot of varsity experience. We have a lot.
That's
of guys,
exactly right.
So they had to see a lot of games. We had to play 5 games.
Yeah.
And me going into it, I'm naive too. I'm thinking we just go out there and put our foot on the gas pedal and go. But we all had to learn, and this growth is from everybody. It's coming from the coaching staff. It's actually coming from the administration, that we're all growing. Our kids are growing astronomically. So now it's getting closer to what in my playbook, in my mind in August, this is what I was thinking of doing. But we couldn't do it. So we had to, quote unquote, dummy it down for a little while, get some confidence going. I can't. I'm looking forward to going into the CVC where we see some familiar faces. There's no unfamiliarity, so we see what we've seen for years. The kids are the kids, and now we can just go out there and play some football. I'm not making any excuse for where we just came from those first five, because I feel like we should have been 3-2. We played good football for a while, but we hadn't played a full game. So out of those games, we're 1-4. We have to accept who we are. We're not a 3-2 team. We're a 1-4 team. We have to accept that. The only way we change that is to become a 2-4 team. We can't think of that we're going to be a whatever it may be. Like the only way we can change is becoming a 2-4 team. So that's the goal this week. And that's the growth.
Yeah, and you talk about inexperience, and I think that's one of the things that Lakeside is dealing with this year. It's inexperience. You've got some young coaches, you've got a young offensive line, you've got a first year quarterback, and unlike basketball, unlike baseball, it's not football is not a game where you get to just have as many scrimmages as you want. There's no summer league football. there's no summer league. You know what I mean? You can't go out and you get 2 scrimmages and a couple 7-on-7s. But these kids are going to have to go out there. It's baptism by fire, and that's what you're getting every week. I talked about growth, and we talked about the growth in this offensive line. Behind every great big play is a lineman with a number in the 60s that gets no love. But for the guys like Devin Miller and Jay Anthony and Omar to be successful, there's a block that had to be set. There is somebody who was going out there and doing their job and not getting any love for it. And I think you're starting to see that from some of these offensive linemen. This was, I think, by far the least experienced of the group, was this offensive line. And they're really coming into their own each and every week.
100%. To be honest with you, coming against Hawken, they're smart kids and they do smart things. And when we sit back and think about it, like we just checked grades this week in our school. Well, not the school, just the football team. There's 2 C's on the offensive line. So that's why they can do what we want them to do. Like out of all 7 classes, so that's 5 guys, that's 35 classes. There's 2 C's.
Yeah.
So when you look at it that way, that's why they get it. Because they get it in the classroom, they get it in life. So whatever we throw at them, they're gonna understand. They expect the hard, and then they go at it. They take the most notes on the football team. They're the most involved in film study. They ask the most questions, and they're the most coached because they're asking anyone.
Yeah.
So there's 5-6 voices talking to them, and they tell their buddy to watch this, and we say echo, 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 meaning repeat the play, and you'll hear the linemen, if they get it wrong, they'll start saying echo. Well, coach, can we do that again? So those guys want the growth.
And they've got a tenacity too. I mean, one of the things about this offensive line, definitely not the biggest offensive line on the network this year, but, I think these kids have realized, I woke up this morning, I was 165 pounds. I'm going to be 165 pounds at game time too.
There you go. But they embrace the fight. All those guys, they all want to wrestle next season.
Okay.
So,
okay.
They've embraced the fight, and they like the car accident. We preach, there's 65 car accidents a game on offense. How many are you going to win? How many are you going to be pressing the gas on? And those guys are pressing the gas on 75, 80% of those car crashes. So they're creating the crashes and they're driving through it. So now we've been watching film on great tackles and great guards and watching them drive a guy 15 yards down the field.
Yeah.
So we're not asking you for 15, but we're asking you for 6. We're asking you for 4. But if your mentality is to get to 15, we're going to get to 4. So, and those smart kids, they're starting to understand that. Now you see in practice when they're pushing a younger guy, they're pushing them 8, 9, 10 yards down the field. So in a game when it's a varsity player, if you still have that muscle memory that we've been practicing all week, we're going to see you're going to press that guy 4, 5, 6 yards down the field. We have 2 tremendous running backs with speed, and we got one that sometimes you don't need a hole.
So, he's gonna bust that hole whether it's there or not.
So I'm not asking you to be world beaters on the offensive line and just demolish people and think that I have to be No, I just want you to be technical.
And I think you're starting to see, at least one of the things I noticed in the Hawking game was away from the play. The play that's going on away from the play, there is no time off.
There you go.
You know, the guards and the tackles, even if they're not pulling or doing anything like that, they're still engaging. They're still making sure that those blocks are happening, which sets up some cutback lanes. And you guys just happen to benefit about a 60-yard benefit at that off of one of those cutback lanes.
Yeah. But that comes from Saturday mornings. We hand out a piece of paper and it's 65 lines with A through F on each line. Grade yourself. So you can't be on the backside and not be blocking because you're going to grade yourself. I'm not going. I know what.
Yeah, I know what the grade is.
Right. And we say if you're playing like a A, you're a 5-star, and if you're playing like a F, you won't even start JV. That's where our mindset is. And the good thing is they grade themselves hard. There's a lot of Fs. Like we haven't had a game when an offensive lineman graded himself at higher than a D overall. So they're hard on themselves. But my pre-banana receivers, I had a B right there. I had a B. So,
whether they caught the ball or not, it's a B or A.
It's a B. I ain't allowed to have an A, coach. It's a B. But the linemen, they're true to their word. Like, and their partners next to them is like, what did you give yourself, and why? So I like that about our offensive line. They're true to their grade, and it's showing in the game per game. They're getting better and better and better because they know the eye in the sky doesn't lie.
Yeah, it's 100% true.
And they're not lying about what they see either. So that's the growth. Like, okay, I'm not gonna lie to myself either. Like, no, 3 weeks ago, but coach. No, it's like I'll fix it, coach. So that's the growth. There's so many things that I could talk about with the growth, but it literally boils down to those 5 guys up front plus the 2 that they substitute constantly with.
Yeah, and the offensive line, we talked about their growth and how they've gotten better every single week. And I've gotten I think a unique perspective on it because getting to watch you guys in June and even in these 7-on-7s where you're doing the lineman drills and they struggled. Let's not be soft about it. They struggled in those to where they are in that week 5 where they were out there getting stuff done. But the growth isn't limited to just the offensive line. I think perhaps the biggest growth I've seen all year may be in the quarterback play. Omar Ambris, who, he's had tough weeks. He's been the subject of controversy in some of the performances, but, really a great performance on Friday, 300 yards of passing. Outside of one, snafu, we'll call it early in the game, he really was able to shake that off. And I think what was most impressive to me, and you can hear it on the broadcast, go back on YSN and watch it in the archives, was his ability to shake that off and immediately in that next series go right back to throwing, trusting his arm, trusting his offense, most importantly, trusting the team.
That's you hit the nail right on the head. Like the kid is just growing. He's growing like leaps and bounds. There's no one on our team gets yelled at more than
it says every quarterback on every high school team.
So when I first met him, I said, if you want to be a quarterback, you're gonna get yelled at every single day. And it's to the point now I hate that he gives me this look like he doesn't care sometimes. He's just looking right here, not in my eyes, but right at the top of my forehead. And his growth is tremendous. Like, but it comes from trusting the guys and us. Rinse and repeat. So now he's not thinking through the plays anymore. So now it's like I know where he's supposed to be, and if he's not, I got to look to the other spot. But we've created his offense. We didn't create anyone else's offense. We created Omar's. Like we had a slew of things. Like I said earlier, we had a slew of things that we wanted to play, and we're doing what Omar does best. And even on that interception, go look back at that film. That is phenomenal safety play.
It is.
Phenomenal safety play. This kid broke down on a hitch, like the safety, like on time that he caught an interception, and we didn't run that play the game before. It's not like he had.
There wasn't film on that one.
That was just an excellent play. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm still coaching both of the receiver and the running back. I mean the receiver. You shouldn't have tucked that inside. You should have came straight back down your line. Then that wouldn't have been an interception. And quarterback, if you throw that to an outside shoulder, that's not an interception. So those are the two mistakes that we made. But that was just phenomenal safety.
It was, and I think there was a lot of great play, and we'll talk a little bit more about the Hawking game here in just a little bit. But, for the things that went wrong, one of the things that stuck out is you guys played relatively penalty-free football. It was a clean game, not a ton of flags. I mean, I call them the standard flags. There's a holding every play, or every play, and depending on how bored the ref is, he might throw the flag. Behind every great run is a flag to ruin it. But you guys really stayed on the right side of that in that game. False starts are the one I think I know they drive me nuts. So as a coach, they have to drive you nuts. And you guys kept that pretty much under control.
We again. We can't give away our sciences, but there's so many things in our game that just is dictated by what you're doing. So our count is dictated on what you're doing. Our calls a lot of times it's dictated on. So if those guys, once we realized that their defensive line wasn't coming to knock you on your mouth, they were just coming to set it, and the linebackers are going to come through, then we kind of understood it. So I guess that's how I can see it at that game. Like the false starts didn't come because they weren't so concerned with the defensive line rushing through, which is a good thing. But at the same time, only time they would come is when Zero was on the line or he showed you. Zero would show you he was coming.
Yeah, he was an incredible player, one of a few that they had.
Oh yeah, 100%. and our job was is when when he gets anxious and antsy, then we're going to snap the ball when we feel like it, not when you clap your hands. Like if he's antsy and he's jumping around, then we're going to snap it when you're ready. And we got him twice.
Yeah.
So I guess that was the mindset. But we watch a ton of film. I got to give kudos to my fiance because like there's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. She doesn't see me. Like, it's literally, I'm just.
The only people that work harder than the head coach is the head coach's spouse.
Yeah, there you go. She's a godsend, man. Because like she doesn't give me attitude about it. Like now, I put my computer right at my desk right at the end of the bed. So only time I see her and talk to her is if she feels like laying in the bed rather than being downstairs. But I got to give her props because without her, if she wasn't who she is, I wouldn't be able to watch as much film as I can and do the things that we do on the football field. So in turn, it's contagious to them because I'm telling you, I'm watching oodles of hours of film. You better watch some.
Yeah.
So now we're having that conversation. But
you can't have any Johnny Manziels on this team.
No, not at all. But we asked the questions. We asked, hey, is his heel up? Is his heel down? Is his hand in the dirt? Is his hand by his feet? Like all these things. When his hand is by here, what is he doing? If his hand is out here, what is he doing? Like we're asking you those types of questions, and that's your homework at night. Like, hey, when you're watching film tonight, this is what you need to be looking for. When you're watching film tonight, this is what you need to be looking for. Defensive and offensively, we're trying to break it down. We're trying to become better coaches ourselves. And again, I say it every week. Well, we don't know until we know, and we don't know anything until we see it. So we got 5 games. The fire hose is starting to shut a little bit. Like before full go, drinking out of a fire hose, man, and now it seems like the game is starting to get normal to me again. And the kids, they're responding to it. So we want to keep pressing this gas.
So, let's one of the things we do every week, we talk about what went well, what didn't go well. I kind of want to change it up a little bit. And, what were some of the things you liked seeing on Friday in this Hawking game?
I've been coaching for a long time, but I've never had an individual player with 300 yards total offense. Like I've never had that. I've had quarterbacks throw for 400, 450, 475, but I've never had one athlete. And for him to have almost 130 yards rushing and over 170 yards receiving, like
that's unreal.
That's something that you don't see every day.
Yeah.
At the same time, like to watch Matt Wagner come into his own, to see him attack the football field on offense and defense, like he's starting to wake up. To see Omar, hitting the spots, hitting the guys in the spots where they're supposed to be hit. To see Jay Anthony understand that the whole defense is set at him on Friday night, and still give you 100 yards of total offense. So those are phenomenal. So our offensive line did a phenomenal job opening up the holes. Devin had 4 plays over 50 yards.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we could hardly keep up with him with the camera. I mean, we caught up to him eventually, but
Right.
Devin Miller is one of those kids. He runs like a gazelle. So one block and he's out. That's all it takes.
Yeah, like he doesn't have third gear. He just goes first, second, and it's fifth gear. Like, and that's what I like. So he's starting to ask a lot more questions. Like, so that means he's starting to understand more because he's asking more questions. So okay, I know this part. I didn't ask any questions before because I didn't know how to ask the question. So now he understands his part of the offense, his part of the defense, and now his questions, excuse me, now his questions are getting deeper, and his questions are being. It's really football at that point in time. Like, hey, like when I'm hearing this hole, what should I be thinking? Like, oh, we can talk.
Yeah.
Like that. Those are the things that we want to talk about, or like what's the angle we're trying to hit him on this play, coach, this week, and when we run this play, what angle are we trying to hit him at? All these types of things. So, um, and it's becoming contagious between the three of them because now they're all when they ask a question, then they're going back and talking about it. Like, why'd you ask him? So they're having those conversations, and couldn't I couldn't be more pleased. So the good things was just players being players. I can mention 7 other ones. Czar, he finally got open. He finally was running full speed routes. He finally got the ball to him. He got 4 catches, I think. I can go on and on. Zion, I think they cheated him out of touchdown. He thinks so too.
I'm sure I'm sure he is screaming at the screen right now.
Yeah. But he said, even on that play, like I told the ref, how is the pylon on the ground if it's not a touchdown? Like, he hit the pylon, that's a touchdown. But Zion telling him he's the king of 1 yard, a 1 yard touchdown. So I was like, that was 11. So I don't know.
So a lot of good things, but with every game, win or loss, there's always some things that you wanted to improve on, or some things that you really didn't like. So in that Hawking game, obviously defensive struggle. There was some defensive struggle out there, but what were some of the things that you if Terry could go back 2020 and got a time machine, what are some things that would have been different?
I'd like to see what their punter looks like.
The punter had a completely fresh, clean press jersey.
I don't even know what he looks like. So, but I don't. I think we were reaching.
Okay.
A lot of times in the game, rather than taking the one more step. So even today, we were talking about one more step. We brought out the rugby pads today. They're like, hey guys, like we need to be rugby players. Rugby players don't have helmets on, and they thought up. So and we brought out the rugby pads today, making sure they're getting low, coming up. So taking that extra step, we just didn't take the extra step. And when you're playing good players, you need that extra step. When you're playing 195-pound running backs, your 20-pound, 15-pound, whatever, how much your arm weighs.
Whatever this is.
Yeah, I don't know how much they weigh, but whatever this is, isn't stopping those guys. So, and they had one shifty guy that was about 175, and then they had one guy that was about 195, 200. And arm tackles didn't help either one of them. And then to have a 6'5", 6'6" quarterback who can see over your flaws. Like, hey, we've been trying to hide it, but you can see over what we've been trying to hide.
Yeah, I mean, there is no question about it. That young man, very, very talented, throwing darts. His receiving core relatively tall as well. Listed at 6'3".
Yeah.
If he's 6'3", I'm 5'2". So I think they might have been hiding something in there, but they really did a great job. Defense had a struggle, during the night, but the offense really played out of their mind. Let's talk a little bit about some of this week's leaders. And again, we talked about Omar Ambris early in the show. 547. That's 300 more yards than he had last week. 7 touchdowns for that young man. J. Anthony Williams leading the rushing attack in that Hydra backfield with 349, just 1 touchdown. I think he's going to start calling Devin and Nate the vultures, the
Yeah.
touchdown vultures.
Yeah.
J. Anthony Williams leading the receiving yards, 225. I got it updated, Tony. I got it. It's there. That's updated there with 2 touchdowns. Tyree Anderson and Jay Anthony both tied with 37 tackles. So, and the second place on Lakeside right now is 35 tackles. So you got a lot of guys who are making tackles right now. Tyree's still leading the pack with 3 tackles for loss. And Nate Bartone still holding strong with the lone interception for the Dragons this year right now. I'm sure those defensive backs are like Cuba Gooding Jr. and Boys in the Hood just punching the air right now.
That's how it looks like we're catching interception. They just punching out of the air. That's what I tell them anyway. We just got to come down with some of these.
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of guys who are really contributing this year. I think it's a whole team effort, and these Dragon leaders. I mean, I'm interested. I'm excited to see maybe some of these names change as the weeks go on, but very, very good to see. And before we get the youngsters on here, let's talk a little bit about this Madison team. So Madison's coming into this one 3-2. They've got wins over South, North, and Holy Name with losses to both Lutheran West, a 6-7 loss and a slobber knocker, and Perry, who does what Perry does. This is a team, Madison very much rebuilding. This is a program that's rebuilding. They're kind of coming back into their own, getting back into that comfort zone where they want to play you inside of a phone booth. They're going to go tight end heavy. They're going to rely on those guys, but the offensive line, the running backs, from my perspective, are who's going to do the work.
Well, I don't know if you've seen their quarterback, but he has a cannon. He has a gun on him. So there's 2 passes that he throws the ball 55 yards in the air. So the kid has a cannon. We have to respect that. Like you said, they still want to play Madison football. So that's their plan to move forward. The defensive line is coached very well. Well, the coach is a former NFL player, but they're coached pretty well. They chase the guard tackles when they pull. They chasing you. They anchor down. They get to the backfield. So we're looking at that. They're just a good team. They're a well-rounded team. Can't wait to play in our Lake Division. This is the kind of football we've been waiting for. Like, this means a lot more to the kids, I think. They all mean the same to me. I just want to win.
Yeah, I mean, and this is a great way to kind of start it up. I think when the season started, there were 2 very obvious favorites for the CVC title this year in Geneva and Madison. You're getting a chance at this one, and you guys are going to get a chance on at this Blue Streaks team on homecoming. And you, as a head coach, I got to ask you, because I've heard varying thoughts on this. I know some coaches hate homecoming because it kind of messes with stuff, and it works into your routine, and some coaches like it because they get more hyped up. Where do you stand?
I can't say that I hate it, because it's special to the kids, but I think it just takes a lot more out of you. You're on pins and needles. You're on level 9 all day, because you have a select amount of time. You got to do it in a certain area. You got to move up 20 yards. You got to 2 or 3 of your kids got to be in the parade. They got to be thinking about the dates. All the boys is thinking about what they're gonna do tomorrow. It's a lot of
basic high school stuff.
It's a lot of that, but it's special to them because of all of that. So I guess as the adult in the room, I take that. But this is my first one, so next week I'll be telling you what I really feel.
Yeah, so we'll we'll pin that and we'll table it for right now. But Coach, I'll ask you, if Lakeside wants to get 2 wins on starting this week, what do you guys have to get done?
Run the ball like we have been. Find a lane, hit the lane, and no hesitation. Offensively or defensively, take like we've been saying is one more step. So we take one more step. We have no hesitation, and we hit our lanes, which is our keys to victory this week. What we'll be saying during the pregame speeches and all that stuff on Friday, and on tomorrow we'll be talking about our keys to our victory. Those are the keys that we're looking for. Hit your lanes, no hesitation steps, and taking one more step.
Tell you what, I'm excited for this one. I think you guys have unlocked. I think you have awoke the dragon. We're going to get back home this week, and it's going to be a big game. And I can't wait to see how the Dragons are going to play in this. I think they're going to play well. That's my call right now. But, that's where we're heading right now. Well, when we come back, we're going to start off this week with our Scout Team Player of the Week.
Yeah.
It's going to be J.J. Murphy, who's going to get it going. He's just a freshman making a big mark on this team. Really excited to get this youngster on the show. See how he's feeling about football and building up this program, playing a huge part in the growth of this Dragon team. My name is Sam Torres. We'll be right back.
Sheely's is more than a furniture store. We're a hub for all of your appliance needs. We offer the widest selection at everyday low prices, with over $1 million of in-stock inventory from Whirlpool, KitchenAid, LG, GE, and more. Our knowledgeable, no-pressure sales staff can help you find the perfect appliances for your home. We're there for you beyond your purchase to service what we sell and offer free local delivery with 24-month special financing. Sheely's, the best things in life happen at home.
House troubles can attack anytime. When trouble strikes, call Mighty Mike. Your hometown hero is on his way. HVAC causing havoc? Has your furnace gone mad? Mighty Mike Heating and Cooling will save the day. Commercial or residential, 24/7. For quality service you can depend on, call your hometown hero. Call Mighty Mike.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa.
And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing.
Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships.
We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team.
Your goals, our game plan.
Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Why choose local? Because you live here, work here, learn here, relax here, and celebrate here. 21 WFMJ is our Valley's only locally owned TV station, and our focus is local. Other TV stations don't have that same focus, as their owners are somewhere else. But 21 WFMJ is rooted in the Valley. Local people making decisions that affect your life, right here where you live.
We believe expectations are made to be exceeded. At the new Toyota of Warren, it's about more than just getting a great deal. It's about service you can count on and a friendship you can trust. Year after year, we've done what we do best. We've gone the extra mile so you could too. Because we know it's just not about buying a new car. It's the start of a new adventure. Toyota of Warren, driven by you.
All right, everybody, I'm back here with this week's Dragon Scout Team Player of the Week. It's the freshman. It's the youngest of the group. It is J.J. Murphy. J.J., welcome to the show, my friend. So, you went out there this week with the Scout team, and you played your absolute butt off, and that gets you voted onto this show. First thing I'm going to ask you is, when you're out there playing on that Scout team, why are you going so hard?
It's an opportunity to get better.
It's an opportunity to get better. So, you've played a little bit of everywhere on the offensive line. Started off at some center, started off at, playing some guard, some tackle. They said they're even taking you and putting you at the linebacker spot now. But on the offensive line, which position do you like playing the most? Is it the center position, the guard, the tackle? Where do you like to be?
I say guard.
The guard?
Yeah.
Why the guard? What about the guard is more fun than the others?
Get to pull more.
You get to pull more, so you got to be active, right? So, you're playing on the defensive side of the ball as well, right? You get to be a defensive tackle, and he said he's even put you at some linebacker. We see you at free safety maybe at one day. When you're on the defensive side of the ball, where do you like to be?
Mostly linebacker.
Linebacker?
Yeah.
All right. And is it because you get to move a little bit more, or what about that linebacker? Or do you just flat out like hitting people?
Hit.
Yeah. You like to hit. So, JJ Murphy, who is one of the youngest in the Jehola family name, there's a whole lot of football, a whole lot of sports in that family. Who are some of the guys in your family that you grew up watching and you think you're going to end up better than?
My cousin.
Your cousin? What's your cousin's name?
Trey.
Trey. All right. So Trey is a Lakeside graduate just a couple years ago. In the off season, football is won and lost a lot of times, not even during the season. It's what you're doing in the off season that actually prepares you for this season. So what are some other sports that you play?
Basketball, baseball, and tennis.
Basketball, baseball, and tennis. Now, I told you this one was coming. So, tennis is an interesting one. What do you think playing tennis, what do you think that does to help you on the football field?
It helps with hip movement and footwork.
Hip movement and footwork. Coaches like to hear that. If you got good hips, you got a good game. Playing basketball and baseball as well. What's helped you with basketball and baseball with football?
Baseball, power.
Power. Okay. So do you spend a lot of time in the gym, or what are you doing to get ready and make sure that your strength is increasing and you're getting in shape?
Summer workouts.
Summer workouts?
And then I go for a run.
And you go for a run. All right, good. I like to hear that. So, you're a freshman, last year playing some junior high ball and, a lot of things changing. And what is one of the things that you were looking forward to or you had to get used to here when you got to that high school level?
People bigger than you.
The people were bigger than you. Yeah, that's going to happen. I'll tell you what, we had a freshman on here just last week, and that was his exact same answer. Everybody's bigger than you. You ain't used to that, especially, you go from that 8th grade year where you're the top dog to you get to the high school, and all of a sudden, you're back on the bottom of the totem pole. So when you were getting ready for this transition from junior high football to high school football, what were you most excited about?
Getting to play.
Getting to play?
Mm-hmm.
So when you are working on this scout team, are there any of the guys that you are on your team right now that you're kind of looking for leadership, that sort of thing, or trying to mimic what they're doing because it's working? Aaron Artman. I'll tell you what, Aaron Artman, that's a great pick. Aaron Artman is a guy we've talked about on this show for the last couple weeks because he's a guy we've seen him on the defensive line. We've seen him get pushed into that linebacking core, and he's made a big difference. What are some things that, you want to work on yourself? What are some things you personally want to get better on? Speed. Offensive lineman that wants to get faster. Imagine that, folks. We got an offensive lineman that wants to get faster. So, what is I'll tell you what, of all the drills you guys do on that team, all right, and don't get in trouble because your coach is right there. All right, so of all the drills you guys go out there and do, which is the one that when Coach Terry says it's time to do this, you either you either shake your head or you get a smile from ear to ear? What's your favorite, or what is your least favorite?
My favorite, hitting drills.
Hitting drills? Yeah, I'll tell you what. For some reason, I believe that. I absolutely believe that. So, you're finding your way through this team and finding your way on the team, establishing yourself. When JJ Murphy is on the field for the Dragons, whether it's varsity, JV, what have you, what can we look forward to seeing in your play? Is it tenacity? Is it the mind of the game? Which one are you most proud of in your game right now?
I really don't know.
You don't know? That's all right. Listen, you're a freshman. You got 4 or 3 more years to figure that out. I'll tell you what. But here's what you are doing. You're playing out of your mind. You're making a big difference on a team that you said yourself is a lot bigger than you, and you're finding your way in it. And I can't wait to see how this goes and get you on this show maybe a couple more times before you get that diploma. Thanks for coming on the show, JJ. I appreciate you, my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, our Scout Team Player of the Week, J.J. Murphy. When we come back, we're going to have Devin Miller coming on the show. It's his second time this week, and boy, we got a lot of things to talk about, almost 300 or more things to talk about when he comes on. We'll be right back.
We believe expectations are made to be exceeded. At the new Toyota of Warren, it's about more than just getting a great deal. It's about service you can count on and a friendship you can trust. Year after year, we've done what we do best. We've gone the extra mile so you could too. Because we know it's just not about buying a new car. It's the start of a new adventure. Toyota of Warren, driven by you.
All right, everybody, I am back, and this time I've got Devin Miller joining me. Now, Devin, you've had some games early already in this season, but Friday there was a whole different level of Miller. Mill stacks. It was Miller time on Friday. You were making it happen, Capping. What was going on in the preparation, getting ready for that game that last week?
One thing I'd mainly say is we knew they were big boys,
They
especially
were.
up front. Yeah, but that's one thing that we definitely knew coming in there. But that didn't. I mean, as you could tell, that obviously didn't stop us from putting up some points. I mean, it might have been there, but as soon as that first hit went in, everybody knew that that's how the game was going to be all day. It's going to be a rough game, but you just got to fight through it and get through it. And once we did, that's all we kept doing.
I'll tell you what, man, it's a good feeling when you figure out that the pads are going to take the brunt of it, right?
Yes.
Because you certainly were out there and getting some big time runs, getting some big time catches. You know, the first half, you didn't play bad. You had a pretty good first half, actually, around 70 or 80 yards in that first half, getting some cutbacks and some runs. But something happened in that halftime speech, and it unleashed the dragon in that second half. You come out there, three plays over 60 yards, each of them 60, 61, 64, receiving, running. I mean, what was opening up? What was going on? Or was it flat out the wheels, man?
It was just having faith in especially that first touchdown, just having faith that knowing my speed against their speed. I knew their corner had some speed, but I just had it in me to know that I was definitely faster than them. I just told Omar that play before that. I was like, just spin the ball, just throw it out there. I'll catch up to it.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that worked because we've seen where Omar has kind of tried to place those balls like right on you guys when he's throwing some of those passes. But that first touchdown, he throws it out in front of you right around 5 or 6 yards, and you had enough time to get underneath of it.
Yep. And he did the same thing with Matt, the first touchdown, which was kind of hard to see in that film because I don't think anybody was expecting the ball to go that far. But yeah, he has his moments though. But when he leads that ball, it's usually a good ball right there.
So, the receiving touchdowns were phenomenal. I think that's a great place to kind of showcase your speed. And speed is the name of your game. Although, you're pretty yoked up now. You know what I mean? There's been some time in the gym, obviously. But, in that game, you have a 64-yard or a 61-yard, rushing touchdown on what I don't know if it was a counter or whatever, but you found that lane and opened it up and hit second gear. When you got past the defensive line, you looked like you were in fast forward. So what was going on that play? How did you see that what was going on?
There was one thing coming out of halftime that my line said to me that I knew that they were serious about. They were like, Dev, we played that first half good, but this second half we're gonna give you 2 more seconds. And I was like, y'all don't even got to give me 2 seconds. Just give me a second and a half to be able to read what I got to go through. And Jay was like, I'll take the edge for you. And I was like, if we do that every time, I promise you we score. First run out. That's exactly what they did. They made a promise and they kept it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, you guys made the most of it. I mean, big plays. You had some huge plays. Jay Anthony had some huge plays. Nate Bartone was making some big plays. You know, you guys get in that Bartone zone, it's as good as a touchdown. You know, Coach was joking about Zion Thomas getting cheated out of that touchdown. But, you know, I want to talk to you a little bit more. Let's go a little bit more in depth into this backfield that you've got this year. You know, we'll say it's led by the senior and Nate Bartone. But two very talented juniors in you and Jay Anthony. You know, talk about, you know, how you guys mesh together, how you guys work those skill sets together. Because, you know, you may see Jay go in motion, you may go in motion, you know, all over the place. How does that kind of work in your head with these three running backs?
So something that other teams probably notice is that Nate obviously is not the fastest one out of us. So usually what the teams know that if it's Nate getting the ball, they stuff that middle. But the thing about me and Jay is they don't usually know where the ball is going, especially if it's a fake this way, go that way, or go that way, other one's blocking that way. Is if they let you get that cut and we see it, that's the issue right there. That most teams don't know that we are able to cut that fast.
Yeah, and you know, you guys work a lot of timing. There's a lot of timing when it comes to the motion and where the ball's going and that sort of thing. Is that, you know, are you guys, and every week it's improved to last week where it was almost flawless. You know, is that something you guys are working individually together with, or is it just coming through practice?
It's mainly our scout team is showing it a lot more because they know now that the season's going on and they're seeing that like they previously just beat Hawken JV team. So now they're seeing that the more that they practice against these bigger, more, I wouldn't say more athletic, but stronger.
Yeah, just bigger.
Yeah, seniors, juniors. They understand that if they at practice they're able to go against us, they can go against any team there is. Like everybody in school, they're saying, "Oh, our JV team this, our JV team that." But then when they won, everybody's like, "How did they win?"
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good feeling to have as a leader. You know, one of these Dragon leaders out there this week. Now, you know, this week you have a tough one coming, and this is not an opponent that is new to you. It's not an opponent that is new to Nate. It may be an opponent that is new to Jay Anthony, though. So, you know, you guys all working together. What are some things you're looking at getting ready for against this Madison Blue Streak team?
We know that they won it. They definitely won it. Last year they were definitely a team that we didn't think was as physical as they were. Coming into this year, we know, especially like last year against West G, we underestimated them, but this year we definitely know that it's the underdogs that won it more most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's homecoming, right? Like the one thing you don't want to lose is on homecoming. Like Saturday's coming, and it's a lot better when you're playing on a win. You know, Devin, you got a big game coming on Friday. What are some things that Devin Miller has to make sure he does? I'm going to get you on both because, you know, I know you, so I'll press you a little bit. On both offense and defense, what does Devin Miller have to do to help these Lakeside Dragons get a win?
One thing I'd definitely say about the defensive side is a lot more studying.
Okay.
Like before, like the first two games, like we studied, but now that I'm understanding, like it's a cheat code being able to see a team do everything on film and then knowing exactly what's happening in game. That's just a whole different zone when you're able to know exactly what's happening. And then on offense, just be a lot more, because usually on offense I like to rush through everything, but now that I'm understanding to be slower and understanding where to go, where to cut, when to stop my route, when to speed up, when to slow down, those are two things that I definitely have fixed on my offense and defensive side.
Yeah, I mean, you spend your whole life with football coaches telling you be faster, and now you've got the speed. Slow it down and make it happen when it needs to. I'll tell you what, it's going to be a great game. I can't wait to see how you guys are going to play. You guys were phenomenal. You were phenomenal in that game. It was really, really fun getting to watch you go out there and this was a talented Hawken team. They had some speed, but again, you were in fast forward and they were in 0.5. You know, when you got out ahead, that's all it took. It was a big game, and I'm really, really excited for this team. Big game this week. You don't want to miss it. I'll tell you what. If you can get to Lakeside Stadium, make sure you get there. It's the homecoming game. There's all kinds of great stuff going on there. If you listen to our new intro, that fight song you hear at the end, that is the Lakeside High School Band. So shout out to those guys for doing a great job on that the fight song. I know that fight song very well, as I'm a Lakeside graduate myself. So I love to hear it, and I hope to hear it a lot more because they need to be playing it about 5 or 6 times a game as far as I'm concerned. But, it's been a great time, a great show. Thank you for coming on. Good luck this week as you take on a very, very talented Madison Blue Streaks team. My name is Sam Torres. This is The Lake Show live from Los Compadres. And as always, folks, this is for the 440.